You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to another Friday edition of Cards to the Moon. My name is Clark from 5cardguys.com. You can also find me at 5cardguys on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. Now for today's episode, I called back multiple guests and friend of the pod, Darrell Chan, aka DC, who was available to talk with me about the upcoming Fanatics Fest. And by the time this episode airs, we'll be just a week out from the big event. Okay, so it's coming up very quickly. So yeah, I thought it would be great timing to talk with DC about our expectations for the second Fanatics Fest event, especially since both he and I have gone to the inaugural event last year. So first, DC, welcome back to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Like you said, I'm always available. So,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love being on the pod. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on too. Yeah, so it's always good to have a friend of the pod on whenever we can. But yeah, I mean, besides being a friend of the pod, like I said at the beginning, you went to Fanatics Fest. We went to Fanatics Fest last year. We're both going this year, and I just thought it'd be a great conversation, especially for a Friday episode on what we're looking forward to. So just to give people a little bit more context, I was there last year with a media pass. So I was essentially there to cover the event, the different things that were going on, especially from the sports card side of things. I'm again going to be there with a media pass. And DC, you were there as a vendor, you set up, and I believe you're going to be set up again, right? You're going to sell cards while you're there?
Yeah, going to be set up again. You mean last year, technically, I wasn't really set up. I was just helping out a buddy of mine. This is, I guess, one way to get a pass is always good because then I can go in early, take a look at stuff. But this time I am kind of set up this time. So Martin and Steph, who I've introduced you to, they're going to be set up there. And then Eli and I are going to be taking up a little bit of their booth because they had some extra spots. So they asked us if we want to take it. So we have a couple showcases each and, going to set up and then get some goodies, stuff like that, and walk around. I'm hoping I get to walk around too. So let's see how it is this year.
Well, you did get to walk around a bit last year, right?
Because last year I wasn't technically set up. I was there helping.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, definitely this year I think I'll be in the booth a little bit more just to kind of, man the booth. But after last year, seeing all the cool stuff, I don't know what's going to happen.
I'll keep you updated because I'll be checking out some of those cool stuff, I hope. And I'm sure there's going to be long lineups for some of these things. But just going back to the question of, having set up or helping your friend at the booth and just having cards available to sell at last year's Fanatics Fest. Is there anything you're going to do differently at this year's show or not really?
I guess I should really look at the layout a little bit more. Last year I didn't really prep because I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just literally walking around most of the time just to explore, going back and forth. But I think this year, as we had talked before the pod started, that they're going to integrate the sports card vendors a little bit differently. So I think getting an idea of what our surroundings are before the show opens is going to be a big help. I don't know exactly where we are set up yet. That's not really something I take care of, but I'm sure whatever it is these guys have planned, it's going to be great just for the amount of stuff that they're going to have. I mean, I heard some of those booths sound pretty crazy. Like, did you hear something about you can compete against another athlete or something?
Yeah, Fanatics games. So that's going to be the first time they're doing this for this year's event. Yeah.
How do you even apply for that? I mean, I'm curious.
Oh man, well, you know what? DC has been traveling a lot. If you follow him on Instagram, so he's forgiven for not knowing anything about Fanatics games. But there is a video application process and then they select, I think, 50, and then you compete against 50 athletes slash celebrities in different kind of skills, sports skills events.
I heard the
So
top three get paid like $1 million for one, and LeBron is like a LeBron card or something for number
yeah,
three or something crazy like that.
and a Ferrari for second place. Yeah.
Not too shabby for sending in a video.
Not too shabby, and competing against A-listers. You know what I mean? Like real athletes. Like Tom Brady and Gronk, those guys who were at Fanatics Fest last year. But yeah, it's gonna be. I think it'll be a spectacle. That's for sure.
I think Hyung should have applied.
Yeah. But I mean, Hyung, we know he's a good baseball player, but you got to be well rounded. Like what I've seen in terms of like what competition there is, that you got to have good pitching accuracy. You got to be a good hockey shooter.
Oh,
Like in terms of accuracy. There's something called, and we talked about this in our last pod with Hyung. Like they judge you on best WWE entrance.
oh
So
yeah.
it's
It sounds pretty awesome. I can see a bunch of people doing those custom characters in the game and then
yeah.
kind of making the video accordingly. That'd be pretty sick.
I think it'll be sick live. I'm sure
Yeah.
some of these guys will get real creative, like do some somersaults and backflips, and
Wonder if they
like,
must have to sign a waiver.
oh yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
but but yeah, that's definitely new. So I don't know if you're gonna get any FOMO from that if you're setting up at the booth and you hear all this
I
screaming in the
might just have to
background.
leave and ask you like just take a look. I'll take the video. I'll
Yeah.
be back later.
I feel like it's going to be constant with 50 events, 50 celebs. Yeah, but that'll be cool. So yeah, well, you're talking about wanting to see the setup and the layout. Do you know that in advance? Because
So
yeah,
I guess during the setup last year too, we were there a day before
yeah,
just to kind of get to see some stuff. I think that's really the big advantage of being able to set up is like you get to see stuff before it gets too crowded.
hmm,
That's the same with pretty much any show that I set up at. Is that even before VIP, as you're setting up and other people that are there like right away, you get to
right,
see their stuff. So, that's buying opportunities, trading opportunities, stuff like that too. But
yeah,
like literally, I would feel so much more comfortable being able to look at showcases without having to look over people's shoulders or trying to squeeze in there and stuff like that. But
hmm,
in this case, I remember last year being able to see like the UFC ring, the WWE ring,
hmm,
the basketball court, the soccer field, all those different things I got to see and kind of take some videos before the actual day.
right,
So we're arriving in New York on Thursday. We're gonna go
hmm,
watch the Yankees game, but I think we're gonna set up a bunch of our stuff first, just drop them in the body bag,
yeah,
and then kind of go. So I think we'll get to walk around a little bit. I always treat these things. I mean, these ones specifically where I'm not set up officially as a vendor.
hmm,
Like I'll go to those things. I'll sell a couple of things here and there, but honestly, I'm there for the events and the
hmm.
swag.
Yeah, swag always. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. And that's one of the best parts about Fanatics Fest. There was so many cool stuff that were being given away, and so many exclusive products, which we will talk about in just a bit, that are only available at the show in person. Right, that was
Mhm.
kind of cool, and we got a few things together last year. So speaking of last year and the Fanatics Fest event, which was in August in 2024, it's in June, and they moved it up a couple months before the national, not because of the national, but I think in terms of the leagues being in off season, most of the leagues are mostly in off season in June, so they got more athletes and more athletes from different sports to come to
Mhm.
Fanatics Fest. So it's bigger and better, as Lance Fensterman would say, the CEO of Fanatics Events, who I spoke to on the pod a few weeks ago now. But if you remember, what did you like about Fanatics Fest last year, like your experience of it? And is there anything you'd like to see different or new at this year's event?
So last year, definitely. I mean, cards aside, that was like the first time I've seen so many different types of sports marketed in the same spot.
Hmm.
Um, plus the quality of celebs that came, not only celebs, athletes, like all different stuff. I mean, Jay-Z was there, Travis
Right.
Scott. I mean, like they
Yeah.
even have like that VIP lounge where, I mean, I don't
Yes.
even know how you have access to that, but I mean, it was pretty crazy. And then when
Mm,
you actually see celebs just walking by, like that
right.
was pretty nuts. Like the Michael Rubin autograph thing for me was pretty cool, especially because it was the inaugural event.
Yeah.
And even when I came back, I walked by Mo Bamba and I got him to autograph my other pass. And that's
Nice.
random. You can't miss that guy. I mean, the guy is
He's
tall.
tall.
Even if you
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
who it is, you know
Yeah,
it's somebody.
for
Um,
sure.
but to see those guys in real life is quite surreal. Um, but again, going back to those different setups, it's quite amazing. Even like that mini baseball diamond that you can try to hit home runs out of. I mean, they're
Right.
for kids, but I mean, like we're like big kids. I mean,
Yeah,
we collect
exactly.
cards. The same thing. I thought it was great, and the
Yeah.
sheer size of it, it's just I thought it was organized pretty well. I mean, this year I'm hoping to maybe get to the Fanatics store a little bit earlier because some of the stuff I bought last year or the stuff I wanted to buy last day was already sold out. So I'm gonna hit up that store first thing, do my shopping before everything starts, and then kind
Yeah.
of go.
There you go. There's a piece of good advice right there. Anything you want to see different or new this year? Quickly?
Uh, well, I mean, we were talking about the organization of where the card dealers are going to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know last year there were some people not super happy about stuff. I mean, whether or not it has to do with where people were placed, or maybe maybe the card thing wasn't marketed the way that some people thought, because definitely it's not like the National. It's definitely not set up as just a card show.
Yeah.
And the target market, and I did say this last year too, is that even before we went, is that it's not just a card show. And that's the reason why there's so many different types of people there, people
Mm,
getting back into it nostalgia wise. I remember speaking to quite a few, potential buyers and sellers that they were saying, "Oh, you know what? I totally forgot I have cards. I probably have cards somewhere in my house, and we dig them up. Oh, I didn't know this card is worth so much money now." Things like that. So even the choices of the kind of cards I'm going to bring and the price range I'm going to bring, I
yeah.
think is going to change
Mm,
this year.
w-
Like I'll bring some key cards, like
yeah.
I'll bring the Ruth, I'll bring the Jackie and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't think those cards are going to transact at the show. I feel a lot of the main buyers are going to be like smaller cards, like sub
Right.
$500, stuff like that. I think that stuff is going to sell. Now, I'm not going to bring like a dollar bin cards. I don't. Not even going to bring like I might bring some $100 slats, but I think these ones I'll probably bring like more Jordan inserts, Kobe inserts,
Right.
But again, sub $500 cards, and then like some key cards, maybe, just because we're not bringing something like Expo where I have like 8 showcases and now it's going to be 2. So, eh, I think the good thing about our group of people together is that we have similar stuff, but very different at the same time. So we'll have so much different type of inventory in our all of our showcases. So
Right.
it's going to work out pretty well. Um,
You have variety. Yeah.
yeah, and let's see how that goes. But I
Yeah.
mean, we definitely learned a lot from last year.
Yeah. No, that's excellent point because I've heard the same thing from other dealers and vendors even after the show.
Mm.
And exactly that point you were saying. A lot of people that stumbled upon
Mm.
the sports card section, they were surprised that there was a sports card section because they're just
Yeah,
sports fan,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then because they stumbled upon it, they're not looking for super high end cards. They're like, oh, I remember collecting. Like a lot of these guys are actually new to the hobby,
Right.
and they're they get all nostalgic about it, and that's great. That's part of the reason why I guess Fanatics Fest is happening to kind of introduce some of these sports fans to the hobby essentially.
Yeah,
But to your point, if they're gonna buy anything, they're gonna buy something out of nostalgia, and they don't want to put down $1,000 they have zero research on. You know what I mean? They're like, it's
correct.
like, oh, I like Kobe. And if there's like a $50 Kobe card, that's, maybe not super valuable to high end or mid to high end collectors.
Hmm.
There are buyers for people, for lower end Kobe or MJ or, these iconic players, from just diehard sports fans. So I think that's a smart play, in my opinion.
The one specific story I remember from last year was this guy came by and we had an 89 Upper Deck Griffey PSA 10 in the
Hmm.
showcase. And he's like, "Wow, I have that card. My card's worth $2,500."
Right.
And we said, "Well, is it
Depending on the grade.
graded?" He goes,
Yeah.
"What's grading? Just because it's in a different holder and stuff like that, it's the same card." And then we had to go through the explanation. So I would say there's a little bit more hand holding and
Mm,
explanation to people that don't know
yeah.
um, what the hobby has become since
Yes.
1989.
Right. Right.
It's a little different, and when you look at like an 89 Griffey, you can have a card that's a PSA 10 that goes for 2,500, but then you'll have a PSA 9 go for like 200 or 300, and a PSA 8 for like $70,
Yeah.
something along those lines. So it's interesting to have to explain to people, and the people's shock is like legitimate too.
Sure.
They have no clue. They see it like, oh, I have this card. Can I sell
Yeah.
it to you for $2,000? And
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
not quite
No,
the same.
no, that's a good story. And even if I was one of those guys that just came up to the booth and was learning for the first time, oh, what's this whole grading thing?
Mhm.
What's PSA?
Yeah.
But one of my favorite baseball players growing up was Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
And I had that card,
Hmm.
and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to shell out 2K for a PSA 10, but a nice PSA 8 is there. I wouldn't mind taking that for 70, $80,
Exactly.
right?
So
And
it's just a different market. I think it's like anything, you just have to make adjustments. I
yes,
definitely think there are a couple of players out there that'll buy certain stuff. I'm
for
just
sure.
thinking that those are fewer and far between, and because the national is right after that, that's a card I would take to the national and probably move.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Last year, I found some stuff to trade and purchase,
Hmm.
but it's not quite the same type of inventory as
Right.
what we would see at the national. Because the national to
Yes.
me is like it's totally different beast.
For sure. And I'm looking forward to going to the national this year.
Yeah.
So to experience that for myself. But I think that's where a lot of the complaints stem from. I think the expectation last year for the inaugural event was that Fanatics Fest would rival, the national, essentially, in terms
Mhm.
of, the inventory and what people can expect. And I don't think it was that. And to be fair to the organizers, I don't think they build it as the next national. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think part of it is part and parcel is really the cost of what the tables
I was going to
are.
mention that too,
So
right?
I mean the expectation is usually if you go to a show, you're going to try to at least break even just from your cost, um, for the table, your
Yes,
stay, your flight if you're out of state, like all these different things. And New York's not a cheap city to live in,
fair enough.
so those kind of things you have to factor in. I don't know what the sign up is for the tables. Do you know anything? Did they say there's more or less or the same number of table vendors than last year?
I got the impression in the interview with Lance that everything is bigger and better. So even more. So there are more vendors,
No.
but what kind of vendors there are, I don't know exactly.
Right.
Right. But I think because of the first one, vendors in general are more knowledgeable of what they can expect. Right.
Yes.
And I think the vendors that got kind of screwed over, and not screwed over, but they paid 3K for their table and they didn't really, get their money's worth or what they expected. I
Right.
don't think they're returning, right? But I think there are others that now see this as like, more of a branding opportunity.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the bigger shops are more interested in setting up at Fanatics Fest,
Yeah.
just to get their name out there. It's similar to what I just heard from, I think it was the, another podcast I was listening to about the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
right? If you want an ad in the Super Bowl and your main goal is ROI on whatever you're trying to sell, it's the worst investment because a Super Bowl ad costs millions of dollars and
Yeah.
you got to sell a certain number of products.
Yeah.
And you usually don't make it, because of just the sheer cost of the ad. But if you want people to know your product and just get it in people's minds, then it's a great way to get your product out there. So that's why Apple, for instance, iPhone, we got a new one. Super Bowl ad's a perfect space because everyone's paying attention, everyone's watching.
But
right?
there's a new one every year. Like it's like, oh, what's after the 16? Oh, maybe a 17's coming. On a side note, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but the performers at the Super Bowl, they're not paid. They actually pay themselves to be on there.
Right.
They spend all the money for. It's crazy. I think I don't know, it was Kendrick Lamar, but someone spent like $4 million themselves.
Wow. Okay.
And that's a performer. That's a performer. And now how they get sponsored and stuff like that, I don't know. But you get invited, but you still have to pay, which is crazy.
NFL's got a good thing going.
Yeah. Number one sport to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Domestically.
Yes.
Domestically.
Yes.
North America wise, but no, yeah, that's anyway. I think speaking of what we're just talking about with the setup and the layout being a little bit different, spread throughout the show. I'm talking about dealers and vendors, so that they get potentially more exposure to just regular sports fans who could stumble across your booth. How do you feel about that whole aspect of just more fans, sports fans, not card collectors, but more sports fans kind of bumping into where you're set up? And do you like it, or do you think that's going to be you're going to be spending more time, like you were saying, hand-holding, just educating some of these fans? What are your thoughts on just this new layout?
I think it depends where we're set up. So, like, for instance, if I'm set up beside the WWE booth or the UFC booth, I'm going to have a problem because I have none of those kind of cards.
Right. And it's
I
going to be loud.
Yeah, it's going to be loud. People are going to be like, oh, Ric Flair, or, who's Roman Reigns or whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
That might be an issue for certain people that don't have those types of cards. Now, we were by the baseball diamond or the basketball court. I feel that, or even football field.
Yeah.
Those things would be suitable for like my type of booth. And again, I don't know where we're set up, and that's something I'll jump on a call with Steph and Martin, just ask them where we're at.
Yeah.
But I can see how it could be really good, but it could be really, really bad, because if people are going to a certain booth, a certain section, they're obviously interested in that specific thing. They're more likely to purchase a card of that specific sport if they're there, they're in the mode, they're in nostalgia mode. I saw Hulk Hogan, I got a Hulk Hogan card. They're probably more likely to buy it. But all of a sudden, if I'm in a basketball section and all I have is soccer, that might not work to the advantage of the dealer. So, this will be another learning process. Maybe, again, like, I'm not prepared because I haven't taken a look at what the layout is, because it's not my setup. But as we talk about this now, this is something I'm going to start to think about.
I think that's all fair and legit points for sure. But if I can play devil's advocate for a second, right? If the original setup last year was the same as this year, I can argue that you wouldn't even get a chance to have certain kind of traffic your way. You could maybe stumble across, depends on the volume of people. There might be a lot, and I don't know what peak hours are. But even though you might be close to, WWE is different because I think the fans are crazy and they're really into it, right?
First autograph sold out, right?
Yes, that's what I was talking to Lance about. That's crazy. Like, first day, all the wrestlers' autograph sessions sold out, just like that. So they're definitely dedicated hardcore fans. But just say you're near the soccer booth or something, or football, and I know you predominantly have baseball, right? I think there are people that would go to soccer and football just to play for fun, right? But they're just sports fans in general. Like, you and I, we love baseball, but we appreciate other sports as well.
Oh,
so
for
maybe,
sure.
right? It gives, they're like, oh, I like baseball too. I was here for the soccer activity or the event. But since I see the baseball card booth here, and I like baseball, I watch baseball games. I'll stop by this booth as well.
No, and I
Right?
totally get it. I think this is where the randomness kind of kicks in though,
Hmm.
because if I have no set way of finding where card booths are, that means I
Right.
have to look at every single section of this venue to maybe find something too. So, like for instance, like say I'm a patron of the show, and I've looked at the floor plan and said, "Oh, I want to go to the wrestling one. I want to go to UFC. I'll
Hmm.
stop by the soccer one. I'll stop by the basketball one." But if there's no interest in some of the other sports, and the person there is randomly not in that section, then that could be detrimental. So it's an interesting take. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll have a recap once this thing is done,
Yes.
but I think
Right.
the sheer amount of people is going to be good, which
Yeah.
means it's sort of like, like take more shots,
Hmm.
you have more chance,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like what was 70,000 people that attended the festival throughout the 4 days. Now it's down to 3 days. We should also mention that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I was talking to Hyung in our last pod. I feel like, well, I'm hoping that more people will come, especially after some of those patrons that went to the first one might tell their friends about it. Like, I had a great time. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
I had a great time at Fanatics Fest last year.
Yeah.
I went into it without really not much expectations because I didn't know what to expect. But overall, it's just a positive vibe, positive experience, and I think that's actually persuaded one of my friends that I go to church with. He's coming along with me to
Mhm.
check it out. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there are more stories like that. Like, hey, oh yeah, this is a great event. You should check it out. I'm sure there's more people that are going to be brought by friends that already went, or heard that it was a good event, or they saw social media coverage on Fanatics Fest and just all the cool things that have happened last year. They want to check it out this year. So I'm hoping, who knows, and we'll, like you said, we'll do a recap after the 3 days are over. But I'm hoping more people will come out to the show.
I think a lot of people will come out just for the celebrity and athlete status. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of people that were messaging me last year said, "Oh, it's cool that you went to this because there was so much media coverage." And they
yeah,
said, "Oh, did you see so and so, or did you see so and so?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
right,
it's pretty amazing."
yeah,
So they might come to that. It has nothing to do with sports cards for them, but I guess in bypassing, if it's there, then maybe it spawns something like again nostalgia, right? Some people are like,
yeah,
"Hey, this and that." So definitely not just cards. I think there's a lot of really really cool things that are happening there,
hmm,
and I'm definitely interested to see how the experiences are, because that's what really caught my eye last year. Selling cars is a byproduct. Like that one's there. Like I always like to travel. So go
yeah,
to New York. New York is one of my favorite spots to go because there's so much stuff going on. So
hmm,
much good food. The people are interesting. But yeah,
yeah.
I think that's in every city. But I mean New York is it's got that vibe for
Love
sure.
New York personally. Yes, I agree. And one of the things about experiences, as you were mentioning, one of the things I really liked last year were the different panels. I know you couldn't go as
Those ones I
much to
missed a
those.
little bit, but I saw the video. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's cool that you captured that.
right. Like seeing Derek Jeter and David Ortiz side
That's
by side
awesome.
talking
Yeah.
about their playing days, and obviously Tom Brady was part of that. And I like how they integrated with those athletes, them going over to the card section like we were talking about earlier. Like
Yeah.
literally Tom Brady walks 6 feet behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Where's all this crowd coming from? And then you realize, oh, Tom Brady's right at the center of it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And so there, and Travis Scott obviously got involved with his Cactus Jack set, and just releasing cards of his own. So it's kind of cool that they're integrated not just on what they do, for their full time job, whether they're athlete or a rapper or whatever celeb status they have, but that they're also coming to promote the hobby in some way. So that was kind of cool to see, and I think that's going to pay off if as long as Fanatics Fest keeps going, you know, and thousands, tens of thousands of people keep coming to this event annually. It's like a volume game. You have even if it's a smaller percentage of people getting to the hobby, just being introduced to the hobby this way. I could see the hobby growing. Like I think we said this in the last episode. The National and Fanatics Fest could really work well together. Fanatics Fest could introduce new people to the hobby, and then they end up going to the National because they're all of a sudden really into the hobby and really into sports cards in general. So I think that would be cool to see. And yeah, I don't know what else. I want to bring this back to sports cards just to end things off. But is there anything you're looking to buy at this Fanatics Fest event?
A lot of the times, like I've said in the other podcasts, I look for stuff from Toronto. So I always look for Vince Carter stuff, T-Mac stuff, those
Right.
kind of things. Like last year, I picked up a couple nice VC cards. So those are always good for me. I mean, I'll still look for vintage. I don't expect there to be a lot. I mean, I have some friends that are dealers. I know they'll be there, so they'll have some stuff. But to be honest, I don't need to go to New York to go get it
Right.
from them. Uh,
Yeah.
but definitely, there's some vendors that I don't know, which I'm always excited to kind of see what kind of stuff is there.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's going to be deals on things too. Just gotta find it. Like that's half the fun is like hunting.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes I'll see like the one sports card in a sea of Pokemon, and I'll be like, oh, that's the guy I want to buy from.
Yeah. Ask Roy who got the Paul Skeens who sold it to you later
Yeah,
on.
I don't need to ask. I know exactly where that card is, so
Yeah.
which is fine. But it worked out for everyone.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The search and the find and just the stories that you can tell once you get that card, that adds to the experience, right?
No, for sure. I'll tell you what I remember most about last year. Actually, one of the
Yeah,
biggest things is when we did the interview when I was opening the lids box.
yeah. I was
And
gonna ask
and
you about
Hyung and I opened it, and we thought I had a Mickey Mantle autograph. We were going
that.
crazy. I'm like, oh my! Hold on a second.
Yeah, yeah. He I think he passed away. Yes.
Yeah, but it was just the initial reaction was like, oh my god! And it's like, hold on.
Yeah. That's definitely one of my highlights too. That was hilarious, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'll segue to really my last question. There's going to be a lot of exclusive drops.
Yeah.
The lids, I'm guessing they're going to bring that back because I feel like that was a very successful. That kind of sold out pretty quickly. Are you looking forward to any of them? I know Tops Fanatics, they did announce the three major releases, which were
Tops update.
Tops Baseball, the Fanatics Fest exclusive,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Is it Tops update Chrome or something?
Yes, I believe so. Is it Tops Update?
Or Top
It's
Series 2 or something?
right.
But it's
Yes,
the
you're right.
exclusive
It's not the
one.
Chrome. It's not the Chrome. I think it's
Yeah.
Top Series 2. Yeah. There's the
Cactus Jack.
F1 and Cactus Jack. Yeah, those
Yeah.
three. Anything what are we lining up for this year? You tell me.
Well, I'll line up for whatever I can get. I'll be honest with you. Last year, that helped offset some of the costs. That's
That's
for
true.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that we get drawn for the Cactus Jack, because I did get one last year,
Hmm.
not from the draw. Like I Martin Steph helped me get one
Yeah.
when I was away, but I'm hoping it's going to be a draw again. So
Is it?
hopefully, yeah, it's a draw again for the Cactus
Okay.
Jack. Um, so I'll grab anything, just anything exclusive. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Some of these things you might have to flip quickly though.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like last year, was it David? Was it David Adams, or it was one of
Yeah.
those
Bigger
guys? They
retailers.
were
Yeah.
they were buying some stuff, but you just got to monitor, because every day the price changes
It's true.
dependent on. I guess there was limited number last year though. They actually said how many they released per day, so we
Hmm.
knew how many. Just
I like that though. I like that part of it. That
no, for
they
sure it's
release
good.
everything on the first day. Yeah.
I guess as a dealer, the difficulty is that we have to line up to go get those exclusives, but then who's
Yeah.
at the booth? So this
Right.
is one thing we talked about last year, how maybe the organizers could have change this a little bit where maybe they already pre-allocate this so that we could stay at the booth instead of lining up right away. And also on top of that, they changed it so that, you know, because I guess other people were coming into the show and they couldn't get it because it was all sold out.
Hmm.
That I don't know what they're gonna do this year. I'm curious to see.
I don't know. Yeah, what can they do about it? They can't just say, "Oh, we're going to do it this time," because people will line up whenever. You know what I mean? As long as it takes, if they really want it.
Yeah. So I
So
don't know what they're gonna do. I'm
yeah,
curious to see for sure. Um, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. From both sides of the coin,
right,
you know, like if you need us to be at the booth, then something has to give because you
sure.
know, like we can't just leave and then not be there. But that being said, those were cool boxes. I really did like opening the cards.
Yeah,
Um, especially those shining star, those cityscape ones were pretty crazy.
that was
So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the baseball ones for sure. I heard the Cactus Jack were $500 this year. I think it was
Last
more
year they were
expensive last year, right?
330. No, they were
Oh,
330. Yeah, they're
the
330 or 350. But I mean, first day
the
they were selling for like 1,200,
the
$1,300,
resale, yeah,
and then
crazy.
by the end of the week after is where it spiked. They went to like 3,000.
Right, I remember. That
Yeah.
was crazy. Yeah, I
So
don't even know what they're at now, but yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna do well because it's so limited. That's why, right? 1,000 boxes or something like
of
that.
course, yeah, and again, it's going to be by draw. So
Yeah,
I think you have to sign up for this draw. They did that last year too.
right. I remember. Yeah, I didn't get one, but I remember signing up for it.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely do that again. It'll be worth it for sure. Lids, are you doing that again? Are we going for the
I
Mickey
gotta see.
Mantle?
I gotta see what the. I gotta see what the hats are because I'll be honest with you, taking them home. I
Right.
didn't think about this before.
It was a big box.
Well, I didn't take the box. I mean, I actually
Okay.
brought cap cases,
Okay.
but I only brought one. I think if I'm gonna do it this time, I gotta bring two so I can fit six in a cap case. Um, but I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I still have those hats. I've never worn those hats. Those hats are really cool. I'm looking
Yeah.
at it right now. The hats are like right there. I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
Looking at the Nolan Ryan hat right now, the Ichiro hat.
I feel like I feel like you have to do it. I think it just got to be tradition. We got to rip, and then actually that YouTube video for me did really well. That
Yeah,
one in particular, I don't know why the algorithm loved it, and maybe they loved it because we thought Mickey Mantle was alive for a
it's
split
quite
second.
possible. I think Clark, you should expense a box and I'll do the opening.
We'll see. We'll see. It depends if I get the Cactus Jack or not. So
You won't know about the Cactus Jack until like the
the
second
day of.
last day or the last day. If I remember
Okay.
correctly, it wasn't the first day for sure.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I might bring my Bobby Witt Jr. home field advantage superfractor. See if I could get that express.
oh
Just kind
yeah,
of like what I did with my Mike Trout last year, remember? And you were able to pick that up for me because I couldn't stay on Sunday.
yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know what the PSA deals are too, or any of the grading deals, but I guess they'll announce that soon. It's just coming up in a
I
less
think
than a
so.
couple
But
weeks.
I mean, are they doing them? Did they do it on site last year?
Well, I don't know, but I got mine on Sunday, right? Like when you
Yeah,
picked
yeah,
it up.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Trying to
So
remember what
well,
they.
I did see an Instagram post from PSA, so they said 2 day express or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know whether they do it on site or I don't know where their offices are.
Yeah.
Jersey.
What's the? I'm just curious. Yeah. Oh yeah, New Jersey. That's why they could drop it off and bring it back.
Right.
But what's the rush on that card?
It's like well with the I don't know. Maybe you could talk me out of it with
Okay.
the whole tariffs, with all the you know what I mean. Like I can't even submit it even now
Well,
by
you
myself.
just have to submit it to a third party, which I
Yeah,
could help you with,
Okay.
and it'll cost you a lot less. Like, what's the cost going to be for like 2 day? Like $200.
Something like that. Yeah.
So if you could do a bulk one at $27 Canadian, or what I don't know what it is now, $30 Canadian or something.
You know
versus
me. I'm just
200, which is versus 200 US, which is like 300 something.
I'm just paranoid with, for me, it's a bigger card. And
I get it. It's not a
yeah,
$10,000 card,
that's true. But
but
still,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
to each their own. I get it. I mean, if you can expense that anyway, then I suppose, because like I'm going to be doing a lot of personal stuff when I go to the national. Like I'm going to be crossing
Mm.
a bunch of things, but I'm going to hope
Well, yeah,
to.
maybe I should just hold it then, because there's
You could
more
do that
days, right?
too,
Yeah.
because those ones um,
They do on site?
they do on site, and my friend I think is going to set up something with Nat Turner.
Oh, okay. All
So
right, we'll talk.
yeah, definitely, because
Let's
some of those
talk.
ones I'm going to either cross or reholder, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's worth it. And those cards, like they're over 10K, so don't really want to mess with those.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it'll be I think it'll be a fun event. It'll be great to connect, and I mean, we both live in the same city anyway, but
Yeah,
it's always kind of cool to like meet other Torontonians or other people from your hometown in other cities and just
it's
hang
true.
out, right?
Very
It's a
true.
different, yeah, it's a different experience, and it was a lot of fun last time. There's a lot of Canadians there too, like that were just walking around.
Yeah,
Like the ones we know for sure, but then just randomly too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, oh, you're from Canada, and Canada represent. We'll be there. We'll be there at Fanatics Fest for sure.
Gonna be wearing Blue Jays hats.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll definitely wear a Blue Jays hat when I'm there. But yeah, always glad to have you on the show, DC, and yeah, we'll talk in New York, and then we'll do a recap, post recap episode when we get back.
Sure, no problem.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.